I'm sharing my reflections on faculty spotlights I reviewed. I teach in the MA TESOL program at Hunter College in the adult track, and I work in adult literacy. So I looked for K-12 takeaways that I could adapt for adult learners and graduate students in the adult track. I'll focus on two spotlights that stood out, plus one quick mention I'd like to make of a great quote unquote digital selfie quote that really resonated with me from Dr. Mitchell's artifact. She really took a deep dive into her students' digital consumption, and the way she tracked that data was really interesting. The first spotlight I want to talk about is Dr. Moreno's from Brooklyn College. Her work integrated technology with critical digital literacies, and the reason it really resonated with me was because it centered on immigration stories and the immigration narratives that she wrote here. That's perfect for adult literacy, since like so many of our texts focus on immigration narratives. And it was interesting because she introduced me to this graphic novel that I never heard of, When the Stars Scattered, which I can share with my teachers. So what impressed me was her comparison of digital versus traditional text, and how she scaffolded that so beautifully, from like explaining to reflection to understanding algorithms. Her students reflected on their digital media consumption using the Padlet, which I thought was great. That was her tinkering exercise here. And through all this, she used this equity lens that would definitely make this adaptable for my graduate students in the practicum class that I teach. And by the way, as a little footnote, I was immersed in the Padlet world a few years ago when I first attended the CITE PD. But it was interesting for me, as it was with Dr. Silberlin here, to learn how to make these little arrows to connect all the posts. It's a minor thing to learn, but it was interesting. The second spotlight I want to talk about was the two doctors from Brooklyn College, Dr. Noble and Dr. Potrzinska. And so they're applying technology mindsets. Here they are. Applying technology mindsets. They approached computational thinking through standardized testing. So that's what really caught my attention, because standardized testing is it's everything in adult lit, right? Because we are all I'm part of a CUNY consortium, which is grant funded, and everything we do is it's quite data driven, because New York State mandates that we use certain tests for assessment. So that's challenging, but it's our reality. So what fascinated me was examining the data collection methods through this equity lens, using computational thinking framework, something I'd never considered before. There's the nutshell here. So their teacher candidates designed culturally relevant assessments and rubrics, these summative assessments and rubrics, excuse me, which of course is central to ESL teacher training, as it is to all teacher training, I suppose. But we really focus on rubrics in ESL as well. So their tinkering activity involved unpacking graphs and connecting. I connected that to, this is their artifact, and they added some really very thought-provoking questions here to lead to a lot of critical thinking about data and how it's collected and what it really means. And that reminded me of the slow graphs approach that we teach for pre-GED and GED prep. This visual just reminded me of that. So both spotlights were great. They gave me some concrete ideas for my adult lit work. The immigration theme that I mentioned, digital versus traditional, equity focused assessment, and of course the whole thing wrapped up in computational thinking framework. Yeah, I hope to spend more time trying to distill that into something that I can use with my grad students. Thank you for listening.